Welcome back to another episode of CHILIpulse. Today I have a date with Jeroen. Yes, with you, Jeroen. Jeroen is our product owner of GraFx Studio. And at CHILIpulse we talk about all things Chili graphics and how we can give you actionable insights. And today we are going to talk about dates and numbers and how to use them in variables in GraFx Studio. Welcome, Jeroen.
Thank you, Bram, for having me. Hi, everyone.
Can you enlighten us what is dates and numbers in variables all about?
Well, number and date variables are two new variable types. So in GraFx Studio, we already have text variables, image, Boolean, and list variables. And so now we introduce two new types.
That's date and number variables.
Yeah, correct.
And why did we need to solve that problem?
Well, if you look at just designs that you can automate, that you can create at scale, there's very, very often a number or a date in there. So let's take the example of imagine you're a retailer and you want to launch a new campaign where you want to have your local stores to be able to personalize that campaign. Maybe each store wants to have a different product that they want to have some campaign, some deal around. Then what they typically want to do is, so you select a product, that's a specific product shot, so an image, some text that goes with it, but very often also a price, that's a number. Or maybe there's a specific deadline to the campaign, so you say valid until a date. So that is very common. And it's important that we put that in the template to give those local stores the power to also add all that information, and all in one template.
And I get it with the expiration date of the campaign is valid until, but that could be simple texts. Why do we have to put it in like a date variable?
It could indeed be simple text. You could just have a free text input field where the end user just fills out the date. But then you're not in control of how that date will look like in the output, like on the posters that you print for in stores, on the displays, digital displays. But as a retailer, you want your brand to be easily identified. So you want all of that to look the same, to have the same styling. And with just text giving the end user the possibility to input anything they want, you lose control.
So you give control to the headquarters, to the designer who makes the campaign.
That's indeed the difference. So it's the designer who decides how it should look like. And the only thing, it's also easier for the end user. Like the store manager opens a template, and the only thing needs to do is fill out the price and the date. And then it's automatically on the design. It's automatic in the correct format as specified by the designer.
That's the reason for the date. What's the reason behind the number variable? What is different there than plain text?
Well, it is very similar. So there's actually two aspects of what make it important to have it as specific variable types. So one is a control. So how does it look like on the template, and to make sure that the end user doesn't mess up. But also the number of settings that go with it, because each variable type has its own specific settings. And that is, for instance, a range. That range applies to the number variable, where you could say you cannot enter a negative number, or there's also an upper limit. But also for date, where you could say there's a start and end date. For instance, you cannot enter a date in the past. Or maybe you use a different template during winter season and during summer season, and so that you can specify your campaign cannot run until end of September. So those are some very specific settings. Or you can exclude some days. Let's say that your store is closed on Sundays. Then you probably do not want to say valid until a Sunday, because it might be confusing. People might think, but that store is not open on Sunday. So you have that control, and you can also restrict what the end user can do.
So the end user, as in the local marketeer, local store owner, is guided to do it in a brand-controlled way.
Yes, so it's very easy. So they have one template. They don't need to first pick from a set of templates. They know, okay, this is the template I can use for such type of campaign. and the logic is all in there. And actually cannot do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So you pick the date, pick the price, choose the image, and then everything else is controlled by the template as designed by the designer.
You were also mentioning how it looks. For example, I would like to see the month written out, like April or in the current language. Is that also something that you can control?
That is indeed possible. So that is one of the type-specific settings for the date variable. So there you can set a display format. That is indeed how it will look like on the design, on your outputs that you generate. And you can combine that with a language, because indeed you can just use numeric input. You say, okay, put the day, month, year. But you could also say, okay, I want it to be written out, valid until Saturday, and on that month, on that day. So you can do that. And then you have an additional setting to choose a language. And with that setting, you can then translate it. And then the engine takes care of that.
So now we know why we need these, and how do I add these variable types in my document?
So it's the same workflow as with other variable types, as you now add, for instance, a text variable in your text frame. So now you create a variable within your list of variable types. You see two new types, and that's a number and a date variable. You select one, you go in text edit mode, and then you can just insert a variable, and it's in there. And you can then immediately see how it behaves when you change something in there. So the same, and then you see your type-specific settings. So nothing changes there. It should feel very familiar.
For a template designer, just fiddling around with the settings to see how to get it right in the template.
Yes. Just the display format. There are date patterns that are used, but we have a list of suggestions to help you with that. Because indeed, do you want to have the month as a number, or do you want to have the month written out, like April? Maybe you just want like the abbreviation APR. That's also quite common. So you can do that, but then there are some suggestions to help you with that.
That's for the use case where we enable self-service, meaning the store owner goes into the platform and customizes the templates to create his or her own outputs. But how do I add logic? How do I add business logic? For example, I change my country. I would like to have it done automatically. How do I apply that business logic with these types?
That's where actions jump in. Indeed, you can have it just fixed if it's all in one language. You can have different languages, and then you can create a separate list variable where you, as items, enter all the countries or regions or languages that you support, where you can generate output for. And then with an action, you can link that to, well, if that country is selected, then this should be the display format. For instance, in the US, you put the month first and then the day. In Europe, it's vice versa. Or you change then for number variables, the decimal separator, it's like period in the US. In Europe, it's like comma. You could also change an text variable currency. You could also change that. So you can change a language for your date. So all of that can be controlled through actions. So, and then for the end user, it's super easy. Same thing again. Sees a drop down, selects the country or the language, and automatically in the template, everything is updated.
And that makes that it can all stay in one smart template.
All in one template.
Yeah, that's great.
That's indeed super powerful.
Yeah. So that means that if we make changes to the design or the look and feel, that it's all throughout all the other variants.
Indeed, that's power of GraFx Studio. There's so much logic that you can put in one template. It actually makes it very easy to update that template or to manage them, because there's not like tons of templates for a template per language or a template per region. You can just all put that together.
That's for a one-off. I want to have a campaign for product XYZ. But what if, as a brand or a store owner, I would like to make personalized outputs and already have all my data in a set prepared? Can I use the same data to do exactly the same as with the self-service?
It's the same principle as with other variable types, and it's just how GraFx Studio works. It's designed as API first. It's API driven. Everything we do can also do via API. So it means that you can take that data and then send that to our API, and you get the output. And it's similar to how you send text or booleans. It's just that now you provide a number or a date. We expect, our API expects a specific format for the date, but then the template takes that format, and then depending on the template logic, we'll put it in the output as the logic is in
for each row in the data set, it will then apply the same logic for each individual row in the data set.
Yes, absolutely, and that's how it works. So if you say, okay, I have maybe 10 products that I want to commercialize to market, all with their own price, maybe in different languages, maybe it quickly adds up to a lot of variants. Now it's just all different records, you provide it to our API, and then that's it. Our API takes care of that, and you just get all the assets you need.
So dates and number variables are like the closing part to make a super smart template for self-service use cases, for batch outputs. What else is missing in the realm of smart templates to make campaigns at scale?
Well, for the kind of templates, we believe that it has everything you need to build such things. So then it's just up to the imagination, creativity of our users. And if they don't know, then there's still actions and GraFx Genie that can help them with that.
And it's good that maybe we don't control the imagination through an API. We leave that to the brain power of the people. Yeah,
indeed.
Well, that was very insightful. Any final words on our date?
Well, it was a nice date, Bram. Thanks for having me.
Likewise. And it was also good having you here. Hope you enjoyed it, and looking forward to what you make with dates and number variables. Don't hesitate to leave a comment and give us a like and subscribe, and we see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.